Hey. Hello, hello. Hope everyone can hear me. We have public chat. I think you guys should be seeing that on the right hand side. If anyone could just post a message in the chat, then we'll know that that works, and you'll be able to ask any questions as we go along. Got 19 people with us already. Can't tell that you can hear me though. Should be able to. Enable chat box, there we go. Right, that now should work. So all messages are public. Yeah, please try typing in the chat box if you can see it. Hey Eric, good to see you. Fantastic. So it's working and you can hear me, yeah? Hey, Tomislav Medarana. So familiar faces. Hi, Happy New Year to everyone. Okay, great stuff. Right, so we shall start. Fantastic, great stuff. Okay, now I've got so much to share with you guys. I've been advertising this as the most important, best webinar that I'm ever going to do, and I really think it's going to live up to that. So this is 5 things that you must do for a massively successful 2015, and I'm going to, there we go. So you should be able to see me now on camera as well. So I just want to start by giving you a quick recap of what's happened in the last year. It's been a really significant year for me. One of the main things that I did was really strip back. If I look back over the last few years, as I've seen myself more in, I'd say, internet marketing and training rather than being a professional web designer. It's really been marked by a sense of just zipping from thing to thing. And there's always a new shiny thing that comes along, some new channel, social media, SEO, conversion stuff. And I've been zipping from one thing to the next for years and years and years, and it's really tiring, really tiring. And I believe that the reason that I was doing that is because I didn't actually know what I was meant to do, and I'm on a highest level. So one of the most important things that I did last year was read Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why, which really stressed the importance of knowing why you do what you do. Because we've got lots of levels. We've got who you are, what you do, who you serve, why you do it. So I went through that, and I've written about this, and you can look that up on Web Design from Scratch. But really important thing is removing a lot of stuff that wasn't me, right? And finding that anchor point, that central point. And we're going to be talking about that a bit today. I wrote a couple of books. One of them was called How to Be Rich Today, and I gave that away. And what that's about is really the realization through practice that time is far more important than money, and that true wealth is measured in hours and minutes and seconds, and what you do with that time. And it's not about dollar signs or pound signs. So I've actually reduced the scale of my business massively. A couple of years ago, I had a team of 4 people working for me. I was managing them. We were turning over quite a lot more money. I was paying out a lot more money. I had an office, and now it's just me. And this is my office I've got 3 whiteboards around. I've got my guitars in the background, and I'm an awful lot happier doing less, but doing it in a very in a way that's more meaningful, and it feels like I've got a solid base. So I'll tell you a lot more about that as we go along. The other big thing, of course, is that I took the Pro Web Design course off the market. That had been my major source of income for 3 years, since November 2010. And yet, I came to the point where, because of who I am and what I'm trying to do, that didn't serve me anymore. I could have kept selling it, but I can't. And you'll realize all of that stuff as we go through. Because I'm always somebody who's got an itchy brain. I'm always wanting to find the next thing, the next level, break through the new discoveries. And the question that was really bugging me was, when I look at what I would do, and I would look at somebody's website or sit down with a client for the first time, and when I look at what some of my friends and colleagues would do, I wanted to know how do we do what we do? How do we take a business situation and see through the things that clearly you don't need to do, and these things clearly are very important, and out of all those plethora of options, this is what's going to work out. When should somebody be working on conversion? When should somebody be working on social media? When should we be concentrating on content marketing? How do you know you've got a branding problem or a traffic problem or a conversion problem? So that's been this kind of big elephant in the room for me for a while. So last year, I sat down to figure out web marketing. And that has then grown. I was going to call it the conversion system, has then grown into what is now called Ultimate Web Design. So it really started at first principles. And if you've seen the videos that I published recently, you'll have a good idea of some of the structure of Ultimate Web Design and the circuit model that we use. So what are we going to do today? As promised, I'm going to give you my 5 biggest insights from the past 12 months. These are things that, oh, wow, if I'd have known what I know now a few years ago, life would be completely different, right? Totally, totally different. I'm not just going to tell you, I'm going to give you some examples. And at the end, I'm going to show you how these different factors, these different elements work together, okay? So do stay for the end. Right. I think there will be a replay of this available on YouTube for either 2 or 3 days. I'm not 100% sure, but I'll make sure that you get a link if so. So let's do the first insight. Okay. If you've been watching the videos so far, then you will be familiar with this idea that that web design is dead. Now. Going back to camera. Okay. Web design is dead. What do we mean? I'm now convinced that because of technological changes, right, the technology has improved for publishing online to such a degree that what we've known in the past as web design, which means the creation, design, and publishing of online content, most of that is now a commodity. It's an off-the-shelf commodity. You can go, you can buy web hosting, you can stick a WordPress site, you can get a theme, bang, it's all there, it's all working. Stuff that 10 years ago was unthinkable, right? It would have been an incredible website 10 years ago, and you would have paid tens of thousands of dollars for something with that kind of functionality. I'm not going to go through all the history. We've got other videos, and in fact, I'm going to do a book called Web Design is Dead. That's actually going to be my next project, and I will explain exactly why. So really try and see it as web designers were all in this place here. But now, like Ice Age continental drift, the ground is opening up under us. The market is splitting right in half. Okay, well, and what we're going to find is there's going to be new roles. Yes, a lot of people have gone off and specialized in conversion or in different traffic techniques, but fundamentally, the job of the all-rounder web designer and builder is pretty much going to become extinct. The ground is opening up beneath our feet, and you need to move. You need to move to one side or the other. On one side, we've got the product designers, and you'll be familiar with this if you've seen the videos. These are the people who create the themes, create the plugins, create the assets, all right, the reusable design elements, and then sell those, and you sell those many times over. There's a principle in programming called don't repeat yourself, right? If you're going to make something once, make it once and use it many times, if it can be used more than once. Just think back to 300 years ago. If you wanted furniture, that furniture would be designed and it would be built by hand carved, expertly fitted together. It would be time consuming and it would therefore be expensive. The same would go for clothing. People had the artisan skills to make your own clothing and shoes and so on. Everything, and buildings, everything was made by hand. Following the Industrial Revolution, the cost came down of making all kinds of things, to the point where now, if you want handmade clothes, a house that's designed and built for you, or a handmade car or shoes or whatever it may be, there's still a market for that, but it's right at the top end of the market because it really isn't justifiable in terms of cost. And the same now goes for websites. If you want a hand-designed, artisan-made website as a custom job, then you're going to have to pay a lot of money for it, or it needs to be a hobby thing, right? That's the other way that these handcrafts have gone. So if you're in web design, if you've been in web design like I've been for the last 20 years, one way that you could go would be into the product development side, create themes, create plugins, create whatever, okay, and specialize in that. And that's perfectly valid. For the people whose heart lies in serving clients, then you need to, we still absolutely need that. And what we've got right now is an online marketing sector that's really fragmented. You've got people who specialize in Google AdWords. You've got people who specialize in conversion optimization. You've got people who specialize in copywriting, graphic design, content marketing and SEO, and all these different areas. And we've specialized and specialized and specialized, but then we end up with a problem, which is who is in charge? Who is in charge ultimately of whether a campaign, which is really what we're all about, not websites now, whether a marketing campaign is successful or not? Who is in charge of the content on the homepage? Is it the SEO person, the copywriter, the graphic designer? Is it the client? So there's definitely another role for a strategic marketer who can take in the whole picture at a high level and can say, this will be a waste of our time and resources. This is something we should try. And there's also going to be a lot of changes about the way that we work as well, because the actual publishing is cheap, quick, and easy. It's quicker, cheaper, and easier than it was a year ago, and 2 years ago and 3 years ago. It's so quick and cheap and easy now to publish online. That isn't the problem. The problem is, of course, how they say the best thing about the web is everyone can be a publisher, and the worst thing about the web is everyone can be a publisher, and that's never been more true. I heard that back in 2001 for the first time. It's never been more true. Right? Now anyone can publish online. Anyone can buy ads. Anyone can buy traffic. Right? So the barrier to entry is really dropped. So what do we need to do? We need to compete better, and in order to compete better and to help our clients to compete better, if we're not business owners ourselves, that comes down to strategy. We've got so many choices now about how we reach people, how we engage them, what we do with them, that we need to have the strategy. We need to be able to know the difference between what's likely to work in this context and what isn't likely to work. Okay. So I think there's another new breed, which is the strategic marketer, and that's what Ultimate Web Design is all about. And that's why I scrapped the old Pro Web Design course, because that was trying to teach people to do everything. And we don't need to do everything anymore. So that's just a quick recap. The first thing you've absolutely got to do is get it into your head. Web design, as we've known it, is dead. We need to move in one direction or another. And the third one, by the way, of course, is to go into the custom market. There's always going to be a market for hand-designed apps. Okay. So moving on to the second one, there is no secret ingredient. If you've seen one of my favorite films, I've got lots of favorite films, as you'll tell from these slides. One of my favorite kids movies is Kung Fu Panda, and this guy is Poe's dad, or he thinks he's his dad. He was raised by this goose, and in the story, the father runs a noodle restaurant, and he has his famous secret ingredient noodle soup. And the story is about, well, I'll let you watch it. But the story is about the panda's journey to discover basically himself. Now, towards the end of it, he goes to his father and says, and his father says to him, "Let me tell you a secret. There is no secret ingredient. Right? There is no secret ingredient to the soup." Now, what does this mean to us? Well, I think a lot of us, and there's a whole internet marketing industry based on this, a lot of us are naturally looking for the new way, the best way, the new shortcut or trick, right? How can we get more traffic? How can we engage people? How can we manipulate more people into buying what we sell? And if you pay attention to the internet marketing gurus, they're always ready to sell you the latest shortcut. Here's the way we're going to get loads of traffic off Google. Here's the way, I've just seen one recently, super converting Facebook ads. I'll give you the template, right? There's no such thing, right? So here's the fact of the matter, right? Everything is contextual. Everything, excuse me, depends on the context of what your business is, who you're trying to sell to, where those people are, what they're thinking, what they need, the kind of problem you're solving, all of that stuff that the circuit addresses, and the specific unique pattern of that big model, that circuit model, excuse me, will inform the channels or the tactics that you need to use. Anyone who tells you that they have the answer, that they found the secret ingredient to marketing, is a charlatan and a bounder, and walk away quickly from these people. The truth is that there is no channel and no tactic that always works best. That's why we've got loads and loads of channels and tactics. Some things are absolutely great. Jeff Walker's product launch formula is a wonderful thing, but it's not right for every situation. Pay-per-click isn't always right for you. SEO isn't always right for you. Content marketing may not be right for you. Conversion optimization may be a complete waste of time and money. Any of these things can be wonderful, and any of these things can be a complete waste. So, and also don't ignore traditional channels either. I think this is really important. Things like books, direct marketing, letters, radio, PR, all of these things can be the right answer, but it depends on you. I mean, just imagine, you remember 15 years ago or 10 years ago, we'd sit there with a pile of letters and go, oh no. But then if AOL popped up and said, you have mail, we'd get really excited because it was new and special. Nowadays, the pendulum swung back. Now, if you've got a handwritten letter, right, you'll get really excited. And we sit there thinking, oh, I've got these many emails to clear through. every day. But old media can be wonderful. So quite often we need to be looking at what our competition isn't doing. We need to get into clear blue water. And this is really the foundation of Ultimate Web Design. It's based on this idea that there is no right answer. So what we're trying to do is actually deconstruct the whole marketing consulting thought process and create a model for getting that information out, right? So using the circuit, what is the brand? Who are you? Who is doing this selling? Who is offering this to me? Do I care about that brand? Do I have a connection with that brand? We're going to talk about that more in a minute. What do you actually do? Or what do you supply? What is the products or the services that you actually supply? What's the proposition? What is this promise that you make? What's the problem that it's solving? And who are you solving it for? The way the circuit works is that when you understand each of those 5 elements in great detail, and we spend a lot of time on this strategy, there's no shortcuts, then you can see what's right and what's not right. And it quite simply is the most useful tool that I have ever used. This morning, I was working on my laptop in bed. Sally and I were coming up with a business plan for one of our clients. And this is a brick and mortar business. These guys sell meat out of the back of trucks, okay? You can't get much more honest trading than this. And the first thing that I did was the circuit. What's the brand? What do they deliver? What's the proposition? What's the problem? And just to check, just in 5 minutes, just to check that all of those bits are in place. Now, so incredibly useful tool. So the second thing that we've absolutely got to do is just acknowledge there is no secret ingredient. There is no shortcut, right? You cannot avoid doing the hard work. But guess what? The beauty of that is that everyone else is trying to find shortcuts. And if you are willing to do the work, then you will have an advantage. Okay. So this brings us on to the third tip. And going back to my friend Po, the Kung Fu Panda, be you. Be you. This is, it seems so simple, but it's not. It's actually incredibly deep and really like the your life's journey. The whole purpose of what we're doing could be you can peel away at this onion forever, right? So being you. If you look around at what you've done in the past, if you look at what your clients do or your competitors do, we so often see that everyone's looking around at what everyone else is doing. It's human nature, by the way. We are programmed to do this. This is part of because we're social beings, right? So we look around to see what works, what's acceptable. Okay, and we use myths and stories to understand the world and all that kind of stuff. And we want to be accepted, right? This is part of our nature. In marketing, it doesn't really make sense. In marketing, you want to be a purple cow. You want to zag against what everyone else is doing. You want that clear blue water we've been talking about. And I've mentioned manipulation, that these shortcuts and things that we try to do can end up being manipulation. We're trying to make something happen. All right, so this is getting fairly philosophical, really. But the more that I've taken away in 2014, the easier life has become. So I've stopped worrying about everybody else. I've stopped worrying about what everyone else is doing. I've stopped trying to convince people about anything and got to a point where I'm saying, I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to be me. I'm going to let you see me. I'm going to do my thing. And then one of two things can then happen, right? Either one, you are you will connect to that, right? And you will be positively drawn to me and what I'm doing, or it's not right for you. And you will go on about your day. You'll unsubscribe, you'll go elsewhere, and either of those things is fine and perfect. I'll show you in a minute. The logo for Ultimate Web Design is a horseshoe magnet. Because one of the core principles of what we're trying to do is say, be something, okay? Be something. And by being something and doing it in a pure way, you will polarize the market. And what that means is like a magnet, right? It's the difference between a strong magnet and a magnet that's lost all its power. A magnet that's lost all its power doesn't attract or repel anything. But when you polarize, you will positively attract the right people, the right partners, the right customers to your brand. And by the same token, you will positively repel the ones who are wrong. One of the biggest mistakes you can ever make in marketing is to try and please everybody, right? You cannot please all of the people all of the time. Everyone's different, right? There is no right solution for absolutely everyone. And if you try to deliver something that nobody objects to, guess what? No one is going to love it. No one. You end up with the most beige, vanilla, unextraordinary product or service that no one's going to care about. And these days, right, we're bombarded, we all know we're bombarded with information and messages and marketing all the time. What we crave more than anything else isn't, the next right product. Is very often, give me something I can believe in, right? We could go on saying, oh, we've lost our tribal religions, we're, morally destitute, whatever. But whatever your opinions are, we as a human race crave something to believe in. We want to know who can we trust, yeah? And we want to make sense of the world. So be you. Serve the world in the way that is right for you, right? And that comes down to your mission. And this opens up more questions than it actually gives you answers. If you're not familiar with the be, do, have paradigm, I'll go over that quickly as well. The default for many of us in the Western world is to look at the adverts of the internet marketer with his row of sports cars, and to say, oh, if only I had the breaks that that guy's had, the education, if only I had 5 million in the bank, right, that I could play with, then I would be an internet marketing guru, and then I will be happy, okay? So if I had what they have, then I could do what they do, and I will be as happy as they are, right? But that's completely the wrong way around, because the reality is that you have to be it first, right? If you're constantly wanting, or you're jealous or whatever, you'll repels what you actually want, because you're saying that I lack this, right? So I'm not worthy of it. Instead, if we say, I am an expert in this, right? When you be that thing that you wish to be, then you will naturally do, right? This is what I'm doing right now, okay? I'm being me, and I'm doing what I do, right? And I trust that I will have whatever the proceeds are of that, yeah? Either you will join my course, you will buy my books, you will follow me for 5 years or whatever, and then maybe buy something, I don't know. But it's not all about the buying. It's not all about money either. So, what do I want to have? I wish to help small business owners. So yeah, okay. A few things that I've realized this year. Looking back over the times in my life when things have made sense, where I've had clarity, when I've had energy, where I've had vision. Fairness is really important to me. I'm a Robin Hood at heart, okay? Now, this is me. This isn't the same as everyone else, right? I'm not saying anything's right, anything's wrong. I'm also a bit of a rebel. I don't like being told what to do. I don't like accepting that, why is this? Well, just because, yeah. I don't like big businesses. That's another thing that I realize. When I look back, every time I've worked for big clients, and I've worked for some of the biggest, right, I've hated it. I don't like being part of big hierarchies, big organizations, massive teams. Don't like being a cog in a machine, right? But that's me. Okay, but once you know those things about you, then it's a lot easier to see, okay, well, what do I do? What does somebody who is that do? What do they do when they get up in the morning? I'm an explorer. I want to explore. I want to share what I find. And I want to go out and walk my dogs and dig over the garden and grow vegetables and just, enjoy my life and eat well. And have a glass of wine. Cheers. Happy New Year again. Here's the thing about being yourself. It's the easiest thing in the world. But it can also be the hardest thing to realize when you are being yourself or not being yourself. There's only one you. There's only one me. There's only one of each of us on this call. No one can be more you than you are. So we mustn't try to be anything else. There's time for another movie character. Master Yoda says, "Do or do not, there is no try." I think that's from The Empire Strikes Back. But this is real deep Buddhist Taoist philosophy. Don't try and be anything. Don't try and be like somebody else. Just be you. Right? And there's no trying involved at all. You don't need to try and be unique, right? Branding isn't about pretending. Branding is about what are the facts, and let's embody that. And if we don't like it, if we don't like what we are, you can change it as well. There's a paradox here, right? You are unique. Identify who it is that you are, and if it's not good enough, right, if it's not fulfilling, then you can make changes. So if you think, and then I'm actually thinking of writing a book about this as well, called Super You or Max You, but that's to come later in the year. You are partly a product of your genetics, your DNA. You're partly a product of your life experiences, your parents, your education, all of that stuff, right? You're partly a product of your culture, but you are not wholly a product of any of those things, right? There is a part of you and a part of me that is more eternal and deeper and more unknowable than any of those things. So, because none of those things defines you, you can, to a degree, define yourself. Okay, I'm not going to get too airy-fairy on this because simply we will run out of time, and there's an 8-hour recording limit for Hangouts on Air. So for me, I think it's about knowing when I'm trying to do something else, knowing when I'm off balance, right? How do you know when what's you and what isn't you? Because you can't really know that deepest part of yourself. I don't believe, unless you meditate for your entire life. But I think that we have a sense of discernment that lets us tell what is right for us and what isn't right for us. And I think you just feel it in your heart. And it's probably a skill that we can develop and improve over time. But I think when your soul doesn't like something, I think you can just tell. So I think we should try things, like trying clothes on. right? I do not have the skill of being able to look at something and know what it's going to look like on. I just don't know, right? So I try it on, and then I'll know if it feels right or it doesn't feel right. Yeah. So I think that's kind of the method. And then there's another dimension to this as well. Once you know who you are, what you stand for, what you stand against, what you wish to be for the world, right? Crank it up. Turn it up to 11. There's no point being that turned up to 1. Yeah. And you're not going to polarize if you are trying to be as inoffensive as possible. You're not going to convince, you're not going to make a change and difference in the world by not upsetting anybody, right? Take what you are and what you believe in and turn it all the way up to 11. Max you, right? What would it look like if your mission was turned up to the max? So, some thinking points there. And I think that when we do that and we give up trying to please everybody and give up trying to please the wrong people, and realize that we cannot serve everyone, I think that what that does is it does a big part of what we're trying to do in the ultimate web design thing with this strategic thing is it helps us to divide away stuff that we don't need, right? There isn't enough time in the day or the week or the year for all of us to master every skill. Right? It's one of the reasons why I threw away the Pro Web Design course. Right? I don't want to teach people HTML, CSS, Photoshop, copywriting, SEO, all of these things, because there wasn't enough time for me even to update that stuff. Right? I couldn't even keep it up to date. Never mind for somebody else to try and learn it. So life actually makes a lot more sense when you realize who you are, what you want to do, what you're good at, what your strengths are, and what your weaknesses are, right? My weaknesses include things like managing. I'm not a manager. I don't like finishing things. I don't like repetitive things. I don't see things through if I don't like doing it. So I need to construct my life so that I don't have to do that stuff. There's something called the technology adoption curve as well, which I want to share with you, which is a great way of visualizing the fact that you can't serve everybody, right? And this isn't even to do with, who is in the market for something and who isn't in the market for something. This is only about the people who are in the market for something. And we'll come back to this because it's actually very poignant for one of the case studies that I want to share with you later on. Now, so this was developed originally came out in the 20th century, and then a guy called Geoffrey Moore wrote a book called Crossing the Chasm, I think in the 1980s. And what this says is that the life cycle for any technology, which could apply to ideas, it could apply to smartphones, pretty much whatever you like, follows this kind of bell curve pattern. And it's marked out by some quite distinctive personality types. And we can be different types of personalities for different types of products. No one is always an innovator, okay? So it's the innovators who who are the first to try things out, right? These are people who either say, I absolutely must have the latest iPhone. These are the people who camp outside the Apple store to get the iPhone 6S, when they've only got an iPhone 6, and they've had it for 3 months or whatever. These are people who just must have the latest stuff. It's also the people who say, I will do anything, try anything to get a competitive edge, right? They're happy with risk. They're happy to gamble. They're happy to try stuff out. Following them, you've got the early adopters, who also are marked out by quite distinctive behavioral patterns. Then you've got the early majority and late majority, which is actually where most of the money in a market is, right? And the timeline moves from left to right here as we go through. And the timeline might be weeks, but more likely years or decades. Early majority, late majority, and then finally the laggards. The laggards these are the people who only got a touchtone phone when the rotary dial stopped working. It's like, I'll upgrade when I have to. Now, I was kind of early majority for cell phones. Now, I remember friends had mobile phones 4 or 5 years before I had one, the very, very earliest ones. So, I didn't want to rush out and spend a lot of money on that particular thing because I didn't see the value to me of that. So what is this telling us? This is telling us that depending on the maturity of the market for a particular technology, you can only market to some of those people some of the time, right? There's a great example actually in Start With Why, when Simon Sinek talks about the failure of TiVo, I think it was in the United States. So this is a hard disk recording video recorder for TVs. And he said that the problem was that the marketers went for the majority market first. Okay? But actually, there's another element here which is worth mentioning, which is that the innovators are the first to buy, right? The early adopters look to the innovators. They are the thought leaders for them. The early majority will only buy when they see that other people have bought it and tried it, okay? And then the late majority are only in the market for something when it's proven and it's been around for a long time. The laggards will only buy when they absolutely have to, okay? So in a way, if the innovators haven't bought, the early adopters won't buy. And if no one's bought, the early majority aren't interested, okay? Now, the TiVo guys went for the majority of the market. They went for the thick end of the market. And guess what? The market went, well, maybe a few innovators and early adopters might have picked it up, which they did, but it failed ultimately. Even though it's a fantastic product, it failed because the majority of the market didn't see that this thing was established, so they weren't interested in buying. What do we learn from that? Whatever it is that you're trying to sell, you cannot please everybody all of the time. Right, okay. So who are you we're looking at? I think we've kind of talked about some of that thing. One other point is about flipping negatives. Whoever we are, whatever the brand is, whatever the business is, we will always have strengths and we will always have weaknesses. And the point in branding, and I'm talking about branding in the deepest sense really here. This isn't makeup. This is about creating, defining, and owning that brand. This is who you want to be to the world. The point about branding is not just to focus entirely on your strengths and on the positives, because your negatives, your weaknesses matter, and they're part of you, and they can be part of why people connect with you. But what I tend to find is there's always two sides to everything. So, for example I've used before, right? You're a sole trader. You're a web designer, copywriter, whatever, marketer, and it's just you, and you don't even have an office, right? You work from your home like I do, right? Now, you could, if you perceive that as a weakness and stop there, that's when you get stupid things like people putting up websites, calling themselves BGH Designs, and write the whole website in the first person plural. So we will do everything we can, and we will roll over backwards to make your site a success. We will do this, we do that. Check out our portfolio. But when you look at it and there's no pictures of anything, and you really know that when you find an email address and it says ben@whatever, you know it's one person. And who are you going to fool? Who are you trying to trick? By pretending to be something or not. What I would say is, forget all of that stuff. If you're a one-man band, be a one-man band. So that's when you say to people, right, I am a small business. I'm passionate. I only take on 1 or 2 clients at a time, because when you work with me, you get my cell phone number. You can call me up anytime, right? I don't have swanky offices that you have to pay for, because I don't want that stuff. Right? I do my thinking as I'm walking in the woods, and I work stupid hours. I work funny hours. I'll be up till 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes, or I'll work throughout a weekend. Right? Guess what? The clients who are in the market for a big flash agency, even if they are fooled by that website that tries to pretend that you're an agency, not a sole trader. Let's say they get fooled by that. How long do you think it's going to take after they fill in the contact form or phone the phone number before they realize that you're a charlatan, you're making it up, and that you're embarrassed about what you are? Yeah. But also, at the same token, the clients who want a passionate, high availability person that they can partner with over a long period, they might be put off by the website that you're pretending to be someone else. So it's utterly stupid in every possible way. So the general point is, whatever you think may be a weakness, right, try and flip it. See what's on the other side of it, okay? People won't like me because I'm a small business, I haven't been trading long, okay? So try taking that. I'm a small business, I haven't been trading long, which means that, right? So from the same root factor, what is the message? Yeah, what is the positive? What's the benefit to you of me being this? So don't apologize for being a small business. Don't apologize for being new to the market. Don't apologize for any of this stuff, because it's just who you are. Know who you are, know what it is you want to do. And our next message is brought to you courtesy of Elmer Fudd. This is an old Russian proverb. I used this way back in Save the Pixel, and I still love it. A man who chases 2 rabbits will not catch either one. Yeah. Don't go after the big business client and the small one at the same time, because you will probably fall between the two. Okay. Oh, and as we mentioned as well, this was the logo for Ultimate Web Design. All right. It also happens to make a letter U, which is great, but the point being that we need to polarize. Be yourself, be real, and polarize. Okay, so I don't think I can emphasize that anymore. The third thing that you really need to do it in 2015 is peel away everything that isn't you and be you, whether it's with your business, but also do this with your clients, or your business, or you personally, and be you to your maximum extent, right? Warts and all. Don't worry about it, because everyone wants someone to believe in, wants someone to trust. So let's do it. Okay, on to 4. Now these last 2 things are serious. Okay, I thought long and hard about sharing this next piece with you, because it's incredibly powerful, and it's one of my biggest recent revelations. That I thought, no, I said that I would share my absolute best stuff, so I'm sharing my absolute best stuff. We're talking about smarter stacking. Those of you who may be a similar age to me might recognize this from The Princess Bride, which was filmed, a lot of the outdoor scenes were filmed near me in England. So the point of this is that your clients come in all shapes and sizes, okay? Different people have very different needs. If you've been following me for any length of time, you'll have heard me go on about the 80-20 curve. And I do want to share with you actually an example of this, just briefly, just in case you haven't seen it. Okay, so this comes from Perry Marshall's site, 8020curve.com. I trust you can all see this. And now what this says is, let's say you've got a market of 100 people, and you sold a product for $10 to 100 people, okay? 100 people responded, and they all responded to the tune of $10. what this is telling us, and I'm not going to go into all the theory of it, is that out of those people, some of them only wanted a $10 product, right? But some of them would have been happy to pay $20 for something similar, right? This isn't the same product, but just with a different price. I'm not saying that would be worth it. But for what you do or what you are offering in that product or in that service, packaged in a different way. And this is saying that the top 20% of those people would have happily paid $40 or more. And in fact, the number one ranked person, according to this model, would happily pay $528 for that thing, right? So this is the market for what you do, okay? And some people want what you do packaged in a very particular way for big ticket price, okay? Some people, more people, would be happy to get what you do packaged in a much more affordable way. So I'll take that off. Okay. So the principle here is all of those prospects or customers exist. That market exists out there. Now, some of us may only be offering high-end consulting services, right? So we're only looking for those handful that are willing to pay the hundreds or the thousands. And we're ignoring the thick end, the long tail part of the market. Other people will say, oh, I offer this ebook and it's $7 Kindle book, for example. And they're ignoring the higher bits of the market, right? Each of those things is, in theory, a mistake. And I'm not too concerned with leaving money on the table, but I'm more concerned with the fact that you're not serving a proportion of the market who actually want what you've got. So what we should be trying to do is to offer everyone what they need at the right price point, okay, which will maximize revenues, but also maximize the service that you can offer by giving people what they need. If you look on Web Design from Scratch, I won't go over it too much now. Ken McCarthy's got this great model about football game pricing. You can experience a football game at home on cable. You can go to the ground. You can pay a 2-figure ticket fee, a 3-figure price, or a 4-figure price if you want to be in a corporate entertainment box, right? The point that Ken makes is it's the same game, right? You're getting the same game whether you watch it on TV or you're paying thousands for a corporate box. But that's not the point. The point is that people don't buy the game. People are buying an experience. They're buying that product or service packaged in a way that suits them. So somebody who's entertaining an important client, they're not buying a football game. They're buying entertaining my important client at this football game, right? So people have different needs, and the thing that you sell isn't necessarily the thing that they buy. They buy a proposition. So I want to give everyone what they need and at a price that suits them. Some businesses, if you say to them, oh, I've got a $30 ebook or a 7-hour video training course that will suit your needs, they don't want that. They may just go, no, that's not what I need. I want somebody to come in for 2 days, right? Give me an invoice and fix it. Yeah. And the same goes for lots of other people. And I'm sure that everyone on this call, if I say to you, oh, let me come in and transform your business for $10,000, some of you will go, I'm not in that market, right? 1 or 2 people may. But so we've got a continuum. I'll take you through some of this stuff right now. Okay, we're starting off with a blank screen. There is actually a 1 hour plus version of this on Ultimate Web Design Program. So my starting point is thinking of it like a pyramid, because what you tend to find is that there's a bigger market at the bottom, right? At the lower end, there's a bigger market like we saw on the curve. And as you go up, the market actually shrinks quite drastically. But by the same token, the amount that people are prepared to pay goes up exponentially as well. So what you tend to find is actually the value of each level in the market is broadly similar. So you start off with free stuff at the bottom. You could then build up with information products, which is stuff that you make once and may sell many times or give away many times. So this is the low cost, high volume end of the market. Things like Kindle books, ebooks, webinars. Then you've got more premium products, which might be courses or very specialist materials and books. Then what you'll find is that as you build up your stack, you get in things which have a service element. So it might be a course with phone calls, or a course with group sessions, or a course with some one-on-one training or whatever. And then at the top end, you've got the top ticket stuff, which is really your consulting. So what do we see in this? Your time involvement increases as you go up. Obviously, everything takes some time. You know, writing a free blog post takes time. It's taken me 2 days to put this material together, for example, right? But this is part of my free stuff. But it's all important. Another thing that you'll notice is that the attitude of the market towards the lower end, this is more for for the DIY market, do it yourself, right? Give me a book, give me a course, or let me research this, look it up online, because I'm prepared to do this myself. I have more time and less budget. But as you go up, you find people who've got more budget and less time, or more urgency. All right, so somebody who wants to bring in a consultant who is going to fix this thing and turn it around, that's your top ticket stuff, right? They want it done for them. So very different kinds of attitudes. Then at the very top of all of this, you've got you, which is, people are getting closer to you as they move up the stack, okay? But you should be present in all of this. You emanate, you glow through everything that you do, obviously. And particularly if you know who it is that you are. So you might describe this as the free stuff is, I'm going to tell you why it's important, and I'm going to tell you what you should be doing, okay? So I started this webinar with saying web design is dead. So I created a problem. I highlighted the problem. I said the earth is splitting under our feet, right? And that's me saying why it's important. And I'm saying what you should do is move in this direction or that direction, okay? With the information products, you might describe this as, I'll tell you how to do it, okay? But then for the premium stuff, I'll show you how to do it. And this is actually what I do in Ultimate Web Design. It's partly theoretical, but there's a series of case studies where I actually work through over many hours. I show you how the thing applies, how the methods apply on real life businesses. And that's what makes it more of a premium product. When you get a service element in there, you might say, I'll coach you how to do it, right? I'm going to give you the material. So there's a difference here where you might say, okay, well, what would I tell everybody? If you do coaching or consulting or anything kind of service oriented, is there stuff that you would find yourself saying in every meeting, right? Every call, find yourself going over with every client. So if you're going to repeat that, systemize it, record it, make it into a course, make it into a video, make it into a book, right? And what that does is it then frees up your time. So you can say, okay, new client, okay, please watch this 45-minute video, and then we're going to have a call, right? So you're actually being quite efficient there. So I'll coach you how to do it. It means that you get the information and then we'll work together to apply it. And sometimes that's the right thing. And then at the top, obviously, I'll do it for you. Okay, it's kind of all the same really. But, it's done in many different ways. Then when you also bring in the awareness ladder, if you're not familiar with the awareness ladder, it's these 6 steps, starting at step 0, which is It describes people's relationship, a level of awareness in the context of what you're trying to offer them, of the proposition that you're offering. Step 0 is, I don't even have a problem or opportunity. You can't sell to these people, right? They're not looking on Google for anything. Step 1 is you realize that you have a problem, but you're not aware that solutions exist. Step 2 is I'm aware of solutions, but I don't have a favored one and I don't really know about yours. Step 3 is now I know about yours. Step 4 is I am convinced of the benefits to me. And step 5 is I'm so convinced that I am now prepared to take action on this. Okay. Now these are logical. This is a logical sequence. We all go through this sequence in our relationship to any kind of trade. Now, so and there's a trade at every level. This is really important. There's always a trade. For your free information, right? If I don't know how you guys ever came across me or my stuff, my website, right? But there's a trade, because if I write a blog post, I put my time into that, but you put your time into reading it, right? So I need to convince you through the design of my site, or however, whatever the marketing experience is around that. I need to convince you that it's worth your time to read my content. And then what I want you to do after reading that content is to become convinced, so that you think, I'm going to join his mailing list. Okay. And that's a trade. Then everything that you sell is a trade. And so people are going through this cycle from step 0 through to step 5, and then converting and buying or making some kind of commitment time and time again. So that got me thinking recently that actually the model might look more like this. This is the best example I could find of it is a metal fruit bowl, where you're going round and round that cycle of awareness. But as you go around, you're getting closer to the center, you're getting closer to the brand in a sense. And again, there's more people at the free stuff, which is the top of this, and fewer people down the bottom in the high value end. And if we were to view that from the top, it would look kind of like this. Okay. So we start with the free stuff. Now, the spiral would actually be a lot less proportional than this, because the free stuff is, thousands of people can consume your free stuff. Okay, so you start with the free stuff, and then as you go around, you then are presented with the low value stuff. So what we're doing is we're growing a customer base. Then you go around and, some of those people may become high value customers. And then you've got like your inner circle thing at the end. Now, if we then apply the awareness ladder steps onto this, it kind of looks like this. You have to go from step 0 to step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then at the end of that, what you've got is a conversion event, right? This is pass go. Yeah. So this is how I want you to visualize. I really believe this can apply to the majority of businesses. When you're casting your net wide to start with, and you're giving free information, you're giving free content, what you do when you do that is you're establishing authority, you're delivering value, and you're building some trust. You're earning trust. That then gives you the right to say to people, I've got an ebook coming out that you need to read. And from there, again, you can keep building. Some of the people who buy your ebook may also buy your course, may buy consulting sessions, may hire you as a client or a consultant, right? And each time there's this conversion event. So I really want you to, if you can, to fix this idea in your head. And if you're only doing one of those things, then just think how many people out there you're unable to serve. I really can't think of any clients that I've got or have had recently where this doesn't apply. I've got people who have free videos, online training, and deliver training in person as well. So I'm sure there may be examples. So just to summarize that then, how much should we give away? Well, I was thinking about this the other day because I was at a conference about lean startups, and the talks were 30, 60 minutes long. And I was thinking, oh, I'd love to get up and share some of my stuff. I was there as an attendee. And that got me thinking, well, maybe that's kind of the answer. Maybe it's like a 60-minute presentation. You know, what would you tell everybody about what you do, right? So maybe put that into a white paper, maybe put it into some series of videos. If you had 60 minutes with an audience to give them as much information as you could, give them that. Or it could be a webinar like this, which is, I think, more than 60 minutes, just over now. But an important element is that the more that you give people, the more that they perceive that you have to offer as well. It's marketing suicide not to share what you know, right? That's hiding your light under a bushel. You're not going to convince people of the value that you can offer or that your products can offer, your services, whatever it is, without proving it to some extent. So giving away free information isn't a cost. It's investing. It's building your garden, right? It's tending to your land. That's where your clients are going to grow from. Your customers are going to grow from. So that model, that spiral stack model, is really core to my whole marketing approach now. It's part of the Ultimate Web Design system. So that when we have analyzed the circuit, when we've analyzed what the business is and who they sell to and so on and so forth, we then need to think about it in terms of that dimension. Are there offerings that we can make people at different levels within that? How can we offer what we do at multiple levels? And then to build that into like a long-term campaign, build it into a system. So I'm actually going to share with you my stack for 2015. So you can see that. Okay, so this is the stack then that I've designed for myself. And what I want you to know is, this is now the end of me flitting from one thing to another. You know, like last year I got really excited about Facebook organic marketing. And so I created a course on Facebook marketing and I sold it and some people bought it. And then I moved on to the next thing. Right? What this is now is I now have a strategic plan for what I'm going to do, in what order I'm going to do it. Okay. So here's how it works. Start with the free stuff. You've got to have your free stuff. I've got Web Design from Scratch. It's been around now for 10 years. Lots of tutorials, decent amount of traffic. I do webinars, I do interviews. And so see this as like your PR activity. You've got to put some stuff out there. And you shouldn't, like I've done with this webinar, you shouldn't be stingy about your best knowledge. Because there's also a difference, by the way, between what I can tell you in this webinar and what I can tell you face-to-face or in person in the context of your business, right? What I'm doing now is I'm establishing authority, my authority, right? That the system that I've developed works for, well, pretty much any business that I've tried it on so far. Okay, but I'm proving that by demonstrating it. I'm proving it by showing you in principle, and I'll give you a couple of examples shortly, how it works. But that's not the same thing, as we've seen. The difference between me telling you what you should be doing and why it's important, and telling you what to do, versus showing you how to do it or helping you to do it, right? So moving on, going up, the size of investment goes up, right? There's a micro investment thing, which is joining a mailing list. As we've already said, there's a trade. If I want you to join my mailing list, then you're trusting me with your email address, with your contact details. You're trusting that I'm not going to sell that stuff on. I'm not going to spam you with stuff that you don't want, right? So there's a trade. You are offering up something in return for something else. So that's the micro investment. So that's what my free stuff leads people to that. And by the way, mailing lists are no less important today than they've ever been. The tiny investment one, this could be a sub $10 ebook, will be Web Design is Dead. That I mentioned right at the beginning that I'm planning to write a book called Web Design is Dead. Now, think back to the awareness ladder. Most people out there in web design aren't thinking web design is dead. They're thinking, yeah, I may be making a bit less this year, or finding it a little bit harder to make money than I was last year. One of my inner circle group actually has a friend in New Jersey. She'd been doing web design for several years. She was good, talented, experienced, and well liked by her clients. Okay. What then happened was her husband lost his job suddenly, and then they realized that their web design business had been dwindling to the point where they couldn't afford to pay their bills just on that the wife's web design business. They couldn't afford to pay their mortgage, so they were forced to sell their home. They literally lost their home, lost their house, because web design wasn't paying anymore. So, you know, I really believe that watering holes are drying up. But there's a lot of people out there who are at step zero, right? They're not thinking web design is dead. They're thinking everything will be all right. You know, yes, the watering hole may be smaller than it was last season, but hey, it'll rain again. The good times will come again. Well, I don't think they are. I think you need to be strategic and you need to move in one direction or the other. So that's why I'm creating Web Design is Dead. And that's why it's going to be priced in a way that lots of people can get it. Okay. So what I'm doing there is I'm actually getting people from step zero to step one. So they think, oh, $7, $5, $9, whatever, ebook, Kindle book, I'll read that. Now, when they've read it, they then, I'm going to talk about this next. Their awareness will have advanced to the point where they are now thinking about web design is dead and what they need to do about it. So they are now at step one, where they are consciously aware of a problem or an opportunity. And I'll also be moving them on to step two, which is where they're aware that, you know, what their choices are, and probably step three, which is where I attempt to set up the ideal solution and then provide that ideal solution. Okay. So this book has a place in the strategic plan. Then small investment, we're also thinking of later in the year producing maybe an ultimate web design manual, which is the book version of the program. It's by no means going to be as comprehensive as the program, but you know, this may be able to reach more people. This will probably be around, say, the $60, $70 mark, something like that. Okay, this will be a serious manual, but not the same as the course. Then you've got the Ultimate Web Design Program itself, which is really the best thing that I can give to the mass market, to say that this is all the information that you need without spending years working it out for yourself. Then continuing the levels of investment, my inner circle group. So this is a group of about 15 or 20 people now, and we meet twice a week for up to 2 hours at a time. And this is when we get to work together. And I'm not the only expert in that group. We've got specialists in market research and analytics, and pay-per-click, and you know, no one can know all of this stuff. But it's amazing to have a group where you can meet and share ideas and get support. And actually, what we're going to be doing in this year, in 2015, is we're going to be developing a lot more content for the course. We're going to be developing that content through our group calls. So I'll actually be exploring material about all of the channels and the tactics that we might use. We'll be researching that, sharing it all together and applying it, talking about how we would apply it with our own businesses and our clients' businesses. So I think that will really enrich the value that the group members get. So we're actually going to have a really exciting structured program where we're going to work through all of this stuff through the next year. And then finally, you've got your major investment, which is what I'm calling my platinum client membership. So this is the done for you kind of service. So this is not where I tell you about the importance of your marketing strategy, but I work through it with you. Okay, so this is much more of the done for you. It takes a lot more of my time. So half a day or more every month, I'm actually working with my clients. So this brings us on to the fifth and final point, which is awareness gap. I wrote Convert, which featured the awareness ladder, which is borrowed heavily from Eugene Schwartz, one of the great copywriters and marketing minds. I wrote Convert back in 2011. So I actually wrote it over 4 years ago now. And that featured the awareness ladder. Something that has been emerging just in the last few months is this concept of the awareness gap, which really says, well, what do these people, who is our market, understanding what they want, understanding what they know, and understanding what they don't know. And then trying to visualize the gap, a bit like the chasm in the technology adoption curve, but there's going to be a gap that you have to bridge. And that gap may be, for example, it's nearly always the next step. It's usually the next step in awareness. So for example, for Web Design is Dead, that's a new concept. Okay, so my market, if I were to draw a graph of where is the bulge in the graph, where is the market, right? Nearly everyone's at step 0. They're not thinking Web Design is dead. They're thinking web design is harder than it used to be, and there's a lot of competition about, and things are getting cheap. But they're not thinking this is now an urgent problem and I need to take action. So what I need to do is I need to bridge the gap from where they are now, step 0, to step 1 and then beyond. Right, so my task is bridge from step 0 to step 1. I could have the most amazing marketing funnel set up for step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? I could optimize it till the cows come home. I could throw AdWords money at it to my heart's content. But none of that means anything if the people can't get from step 0 to step 1. If nobody's thinking that this is a problem, then they're not going to want a solution, no matter how well I think I've optimized my sales process. So I have to think, what don't they know? And what they don't know is this is a problem and it's not going to go away anytime soon. Then you need to ask then, okay, what is the scale and what is the nature of the information transfer or the communication that needs to happen in order to bridge that gap? Okay, quite a long sentence. What is the nature and the scale of the communication that needs to happen? Okay, that's your bridge. That's how you're going to bridge that awareness gap. And that will very much inform the format of your communication. Okay, so I think to make this clearer, I'm going to give you some examples. Now, these are 3, they're either my platinum clients or clients who have been part of the case studies for Ultimate Web Design. So, thinking about focusing our energy on the immediate awareness gap, I'm going to give you 3 examples. One of my clients is a guy in the United States. He makes base jumping packs, right? This is when lunatics go and throw themselves off bridges or buildings or cliffs and parachute to the ground, okay? And he loves this sport. He's been doing it for a long time. There's a lot of skydiving and stuff. He's developed this new product that has a subtle but important difference in the design, which we believe can prevent a certain type of failure happening, which we also believe has resulted in a few fatalities in this sport, right? And this is important. And we go into a lot of detail in the interviewing. That stage, you ask hundreds of questions, okay, in order to really visualize the circuit, all of those elements, have we got everything right? Where are the weaknesses? Where are things out of alignment? Okay, so stick with me. He's got a brand new product. Okay, it's an improvement on previous products. So that's quite like the TiVo example that we used before. Okay, now we know there's a market for base jumping stuff, right? There's a few thousand people in the United States. It's not a huge market, but the market exists. This is an improvement. Okay, he's a very new business, very new brand. No one's really heard of him. So who's going to buy this new product? Okay, the people who buy the brand new things, the people who say, I need an edge, okay, is your innovators. It's the beginning, it's the sharp first edge, leading edge of the technology adoption curve. Like TiVo, right? We need to go for the innovator market. And that's really, really critical, okay? They're not really necessarily aware of the problem either. Sometimes the kit fails and sometimes people get killed, right? But in a lot of marketing situations, we can fall into just saying, well, you know, that's the way it is, right? There isn't an opportunity here. There's nothing wrong. I've got another example of that actually coming up. So we need to address those people where they are, which is, I don't really have a problem. Okay. So, and then we need to get our story to them. So taking all of that stuff into account, it got me thinking, well, okay, well, there's no point putting out adverts because, you know, the level, the scale of the gap is, right, I need to understand that these occasional failures could be caused by something, which could be a design fault. We've got a new design, which means that shouldn't ever be possible, okay? And you can't communicate that in a Facebook ad, not easily. You can't communicate that with an AdWords ad, right? But you still need to reach out to the people. You haven't got their contact information, okay? So you've got to go to where they are. Step zero market, you've got to go out to them. You can't expect them to come to you. So that then points to really PR being the right way forward. And what we mean by PR is, it could be magazine articles, YouTube videos, and promoting this. So for me, I'm thinking a 5-minute documentary video, right, of Jeff and telling his story and why it got him thinking and showing him in his workshop, diligently making these products. Yeah. And then we put that out, and here's the thing, we put it out as the newest thing, right? It's a refinement. It's brand new. You know, he's been jumping with his own design for however many months, right? So we need to pitch it in a way that appeals to the innovator and early adopter market. We don't pitch it as a mass market thing. TiVo pitched their product as a mass market solution, and the mass market wasn't interested. They needed to start with the innovators, okay? And okay, so that's one thing. So instead of, we could put a lot of energy into these other areas. This is what I'm talking about. You know who you are, know who your market is, visualize that awareness gap. And then we can say, well, all of that stuff isn't going to work for us because we've done the strategic work. We've done the thinking. So that's Skunk Ape Base. The second one, clean language training. It's a client I've been working with for several months. Kind of similar situation, step zero market. So Sharon Small is she is one of the world's experts, and in fact, the first authorized trainer in a type of therapeutic or coaching method called clean language. Okay. Now, clean language was developed, started to be developed in the 1980s, and is fairly popular. It's starting to get some traction in a few countries, Britain, Netherlands, France. It's virtually unknown in the United States, but it has got some great benefits over traditional talk therapy, for example. Now, these are the facts, okay? And we arrive at these facts through a relatively intensive period of investigation, of asking questions and exploring. So, step zero market in the US, because what Sharon wants to do is to train people to use clean language in the US. We identified a couple of markets. One was the business market, where people can use it for negotiation and whatever. Another one was for the therapy market. Sharon's heart is in the therapy market, okay? It's not difficult to find that out. You can tell. So we've ignored the commercial, the business market, business leadership thing for now, and we focused on the therapy market. So these are people who are trained in a particular mode or model or style, school of talk therapy, psychotherapy. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Right? Just like the skunk cake base thing. Yeah, you know, it's just the way it is. Now, what's the awareness gap? Right? These people have invested several years and thousands of hours in training to learn this thing. We want them to retrain and add another skill set to their toolbox. But they're at step zero. We need to get them to step one. Okay. Step one means this is the biggest gap that I've ever come across, right? But this is important because if there's a big gap, you need to put something big in it. So we need to get them from thinking, my method of talk therapy or the techniques that I use sometimes work and sometimes don't, but it's the same for everyone. And in fact, that's pretty true. All modes of talk therapy have a broadly similar success rate, roughly 50-50, right, which is also similar to antidepressants. Right, work about half the time across the board. But that's the way it is, right? So we have to get them from that point to thinking, no, there is something. I'm not satisfied with 50-50 success rate. Something could be done. Something better could be done. And we need to bridge that gap, right? But that is a big ask. That is a big task that we need to accomplish, which takes a significant and patient amount of communication to get people thinking, oh, well, you know, okay, let's open our minds. Let's consider, let's be open to the possibility that there may be alternatives. So what we've actually done is we've written a book. We've written a 24,000 word book called The End of Therapy, right? You see, web design is dead. It's bridging from step zero to step one. We're highlighting a problem that the market who may have the problem, but just wasn't aware of it, that they can now use to realize the problem. And when you've realized the problem, if it's significant enough to you, then you will want to go and find a solution. But you know, a short Kindle book wouldn't have done that. So we've written a 24,000 word book called The End of Therapy that explores all of these things, and it sets it up in a very logical way. Okay. So that's clean language training. Final one as well, I thought I'd just mention is Center for Leadership Excellence. This is, again, something that's fairly novel. So what we've got is a leadership training consulting firm, okay? And what they're doing is they've developed online training materials. Now, to us in the, familiar with internet marketing, it doesn't sound too advanced, but remember, these are guys who would normally go in and work with a firm for a 5-figure daily fee, right? $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 per day for a couple of these guys to come in and help leaders and managers to fix their stuff, right? To develop some skills so they can work better with other people. Highly paid. This is a niche business. It's done very well over the years, but they want to, for strategic reasons, they want to develop a product-based business. So passive revenue, subscription-based, instead of continuing to do the in-person one-on-one service. Okay, product businesses are great if you can do it. What's interesting is, again, the awareness gap for this marketplace is that, they think, in fact, generally what happens is the client doesn't really think about getting in training or help until there's a problem. Then you get into issues of change management, right? So they realize that some particular manager isn't performing that well, and there may be, rumblings among the troops and whatever. So they realize there's a problem. Then, as a firefighting measure, they get in these consultants. Okay. Now, what we're trying to do is we're trying to change that to something where people proactively subscribe. So, again, it's a shift in thinking, quite a significant shift in thinking. So we want people to subscribe to this, so that all the managers in the company go through a kind of analysis thing which identifies the areas where they could improve, and then they deliver specific recorded kind of lessons to help them improve in those areas. Completely different to any way this is being done today. So again, we need to be looking at the early adopter market, right? So we need to be talking in our marketing in terms of your forward thinking. That's the kind of client that we're looking for. You're looking for an edge, and you're somebody who isn't, never satisfied with just following the herd, right? The majority market, yes, they follow the herd. That's fine, right? So what they want is dependable, reliable, proven market, track record in use in so many thousand companies, right? That works for the majority market. Early adopters, who would be the people who buy this, don't respond to that kind of language. They respond to, this will give you an edge. This is for the forward-thinking, technology savvy business managers or high-level executive. So that really then informs the way that we go about it. We also don't need lots of conversions. So we're not looking at a mass market. So we're not going to be advertising in that way. And that has then led us through to, I'm thinking using probably video or articles, like interview articles, in press. So we want to find where this particular market congregates. So we might be looking at press, but also particularly maybe on LinkedIn, but using the relationships on LinkedIn in a particular way. I can't say too much more about that now. So that's the kind of thing that we do with that I do with the platinum clients going forward. So let's just do a quick recap then. 5 things. These are the 5 things that I really, really want you to do in 2015. Number 1, know that web design is dead. Things are changing and they're not going to change back. Okay, technology has made what we used to think of as web design as a commodity that anyone can buy off the shelf. So whether you are a marketer, a web designer, or a business owner, you need to get your strategy in place so that you can compete in the next year, right? And that means moving to a more strategic mindset, however you do it, unless you love just to build things, in which case, move to the product development side of things. Number 2, stop chasing shortcuts, right? There is no secret ingredient. Anyone who tells you there's a secret ingredient is lying. Don't trust them. There are no shortcuts. The answer is you, right? The answer is within you. It's in your particular context, and you need to, you can find that if you do the work to analyze and to dig. Stop chasing shortcuts. Be yourself. Build your true business. Okay, be your true self. Work on your life's mission, right? So what I'm doing now, everything that I'm putting out now, is an expression of me, what I stand for, and what I want to see happen in the world. So it's easy then, and it doesn't occur as work. Number 4, stack your offerings. Remember that spiral model so that you can serve as many people as possible, right? Or if you prefer, stop leaving money on the table, okay? And finally, number 5, bridge that awareness gap. Always be thinking, who am I speaking to? What is the level of awareness now? And what is the scale and the nature of the communication that needs to happen in order for me to get them to the next level? There are no excuses, right? If you've got a significant awareness gap there, you need to do significant communication. And that may be a series of videos, right? So you may well have seen my series of 3 videos recently. It's nearly 3 hours of videos called The Truth About Web Design. Right? There's a reason why I did those videos. It's to bridge an awareness gap. I wasn't just going out saying, buy Ultimate Web Design, it's going to solve all your problems, because no one would believe me, and no one would want to invest $97 a month on the basis of that. No, we had to bridge the awareness gap first. Okay, so finally then, I would like to pull back the curtain and basically show you what the wizard's been up to. Okay. So what have I just done for, how long have we been going? About 90 minutes. What have I done in these 90 minutes? Well, I started by going over Web Design is Dead, right? You may have seen that before. I wanted to reinforce it today. That brought our problem to the forefront of our minds, right? And staying still then isn't an option, right? That gets us all together on step 1 of the awareness ladder. The second thing was that we said, here are the options, and these are the options, and they are true, right? You can either get yourself, retrain, reprogram your mind to be more strategic, okay? And I have an offering for that. Or I say go the other way, right? Move into the product area or the custom area, the custom application development stuff, right? They are the options. That's step 2. We're all now at step 2. Step 3 is, I've told you about Web Design is Dead book. I've shared my stack, right? Talked about Web Design is Dead. Talked about Ultimate Web Design as my primary offering to the market, and the Inner Circle, which may be right for some people, and the Platinum service, which is the done-for-you service, okay? So that's step 3. I've now said to you, these are the ways in which I could help you. Now, either one of those things will be right for you now, or they may not. And one of the interesting things that happened to me last year is I've really stopped worrying about conversion rates of short measurable funnels, because the world isn't a short measurable sales funnel. We're not in a sales funnel right now, right? This isn't the culmination of a sales funnel. This is me being me, telling you my stuff, and sharing that knowledge with you, because some of you guys who are listening right now may be looking for that thing. You may be thinking, I'm going to master that stuff, right? Some of you may not. It may simply be a case you don't have time, you don't have the budget, you're not that convinced of the problem, right? There may be no pain, and that's fine. Because my hope then is that you'll carry on following me, because what I'm doing is I'm giving value, right? I hope I'm earning trust. And judging by some of the chat that's going on, it's working great. So, but you may in 6 or 12 months' time or 3 years' time be thinking, you might be in a different situation, and you may be thinking, do you know, I really need to move to another level now, or I have this client who's got this problem, or my business desperately needs to focus itself. And I hope that you will remember what's gone on this webinar. You'll remember me, and you may call me, right? You may drop me an email to say, let's work together. It's time, right? That's how it works. The world is fuzzy. And if we try to reduce it into short-term measurable things, well, that you reduce it. You reduce the quality and the beautiful nature of the way that the world works, for one thing. And, it's kind of pretend anyway. So if you do nothing else, this is what I want you to do. Take these 5 points, right? Think it through. Plan what you're going to do to apply these to your own business in 2015. I would also urge you to try Ultimate Web Design, at least for 1 month. Consume all the information that's on there, and if you want to unsubscribe, then unsubscribe. Take it. It's great material. Now, I've also got 2 offers. I've talked about my Inner Circle group. Now, if this is right for you, if you want to master that stuff, I'm actually, because we are still in the beta phase of Ultimate Web Design, I've been developing the content for 3 months. There's a lot more to come. But I'm going to be developing it with my Inner Circle gang. So that's why I'm offering a 50% discount on Inner Circle membership. If that's right for you, and you want to maybe take part in those face-to-face video calls that we have twice a week, I'm also going to offer anyone who wants to take that up a 60-minute one-on-one coaching session with me, where we can talk about what you want to achieve in the next year, how I might be able to help you, whatever. But that offer ends today, right? It's normally just under $300 a month. You can get it for $149 per month, but it ends today, and you get the free hour or so coaching session. If you need the more direct one-on-one assistance, you might consider becoming one of my platinum clients. I only take on a few, because I only need to take on a few. I don't want to work every hour God sends. I want to be out in my garden as well. So I'm only, and I can't deal with more than about 5 or 6 of these clients at a time, these projects. That is also on 50%. Instead of $15.99, this is US dollars per month. That's about just under £1,000 sterling. That's also on 50%. So that's going to be $7.99 a month, which is about £500. And again, they're all easy terms. You can quit whenever you like. You're not tied into anything. So if that's right for you, I'm going to try and I'll give you the link to this thing. I think I can display an offer on there. So first time I've used this system, and I'll put the link. There's the link. There's a page on Web Design from Scratch that's got the 3 links to take advantage of. Just join the Ultimate Web Design program, or the Inner Circle at 50% off, or the Platinum Client program at 50% off. I think that this will be recorded on YouTube, so I'll definitely follow that up and make sure that everyone gets access to the recording. But that's all I've got. I've given you what I can, and I'm very pleased that we've done it in less than 2 hours. I hope you've got value from it. I hope you take this. I hope you use it. I hope it transforms your life, and really wish you the best year that you've ever had coming up. And I intend to have the best year I've ever had as well. If you've got any questions, just email me, ben@benhunt.com. But otherwise, yes, if one of these things is right for you, sign up in the next few hours, because after that, the links won't work. Okay. Thanks again for your time, and have a great year.